walked in disappointment for probably a month. I was so frustrated. I was on so little sleep because it was every hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm getting up with the baby. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we're filming a little bit of a different style video. I just felt really inspired today. I saw a video, just this lady, she started her YouTube and within 60 days was monetized, and the video that sent her into monetization was actually just something as simple as how to read the Bible consistently. And I thought, you know, if somebody else can talk about that, you know, I think that's something that I can talk on, like something similar, not the same thing as her, but something that I can talk about things too and just chat and share what I've learned or what I know. And so today what I actually did want to share was things that God has been teaching me through motherhood, and I just wanted to kind of get on here and share the reality and the rawness of motherhood and how I handle those really, really hard moments. And I'm just going to cut to the chase and be honest, I don't always handle them well. You know, the first couple months, I feel like I handled it better, honestly. My husband had time off and he was with me and helping me, and it was different. He was here all the time, and we had my mom staying with us the first 2 weeks, and my dad was here for a week, and it was super helpful. And then, you know, he goes back to work. The baby's sleeping really well initially, and then suddenly he's not anymore because he hit the 4-month sleep regression. And suddenly, where I used to get a reprieve at night, suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, I don't get a break. You know, my husband's at work, I'm with the baby all day, and he works 10-hour shifts. So I don't see him from 5 a.m. until, well, he gets up at 5 a.m., but he leaves around 5:45-ish, 6. So I don't see him from then until 6 at night because he has a 45-minute drive just to get back home. And suddenly the frustration's piling up, it's piling up, it's piling up, and not towards him. Like, I wasn't mad at my husband. Like, I knew he had to go back to work. That wasn't the problem, but I was building up like this really frustrated, like overwhelmed feeling. And I'm not recording this video to tell you guys that I'm through it. Like that, oh my gosh, this is what I went through and this is where I'm at now. Like, I'm doing so good. I'm just thriving all the time. No, that's not what I'm about to tell you. What I'm about to tell you is that the frustration and the hard moments haven't stopped. My baby's 7 months old. He just started crawling, so now he's getting into things. He's whacking himself more. He's just more mobile, and so he's able to get hurt more easily because he's moving and he doesn't know any better. And so if I'm not right there watching, you know, all it takes is, okay, I forgot to lock the dog kennel, whack in his head. And not that that's frustrating, but it's like it's constant stimulation all day. And I don't like those videos that are like, oh, I'm overstimulated, this and that, like that. Just, I feel like those have become very cliche videos where people talk about being overstimulated. And don't get me wrong, I understand what they're trying to get at, and I feel that a lot too. As a mom, like having to be constantly needed, for me, overstimulated is the wrong word. To me, it's overwhelming. Like, it's overwhelming. And to be overwhelmed, I'm like, whoa. And so, especially at night, like, it's when you're exhausted, you're tired, and then you have your baby screaming for an unknown reason. You know, you might have fed your baby and yet he's screaming, she's screaming. And okay, what's wrong now? We've checked the diaper, we've checked the feed. Okay, they're comfortable. We checked for like hairs wrapped around the toes, the fingers. Like, why are you screaming at me? Are you teething? Like this and that. And you can get very overwhelmed very quickly in motherhood. And I'm not saying this to scare you away if you don't have children, or, you know, if you're like, are you wondering, does it get better? I'm sure it does. You know, everybody makes it through, you know, moms, we get through it. And I know so many moms who are in a later stage, and it's not that like babies and children stop being challenging. They have different challenges at different stages, is my observation, if you will. I'm not a mom of an older child yet, but I have friends that are, and you can see that the challenges don't stop, they just shift and they change, and you become more wise and you learn your children more and you grow with them. But I say all of that to kind of go into how do I handle those really frustrating moments. And sometimes I don't handle them well, and like I literally, like there were nights that I was so frustrated. I was on so little sleep because it was every hour and a half, 2 hours I'm getting up with the baby. And I know some people have it even worse than that, but it was so overwhelming for me to go from having such good sleep to suddenly nothing, that I was like so frustrated, and my frustration changed. I wasn't really frustrated constantly with my baby. Like I knew he couldn't help it. I knew it wasn't his fault. Like his body was changing. He was adjusting to the change in his sleep patterns and all of that. So I wasn't mad at him. I was like, this is what he's supposed to do. What I realized and what really shocked me was that I was getting mad at God. Like I was mad at God for making babies the way he made them. I was getting frustrated with God because I'm like, God, you know what I need. Why would you make babies in a way that is so contradictory to my needs? Like, why? Like I need sleep, but like babies don't let me sleep. Like he won't let me sleep. Like why would you design babies like this? And I was constantly getting in this mode of just so frustrated with God, but not willing to voice it because I knew I shouldn't be mad at God, but I had questions. I was like, why is he like this? And I don't know. I still don't necessarily know why God did that. I know that the science is that they wake up and it's a protection against SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome. And so when he wakes himself up, I try not to get mad, but I pray over him every night that he'll sleep through the night. And guess what? He's only done it once since 4 months. And so, you know, it's hard. And so the way I started to handle it was, one, I had to find a safe place to vent my frustrations, which is normally my husband. Sometimes I would go to my mom or my mother-in-law and vent a little bit. I didn't want recommendations. I just needed a safe place to share what I was going through. And then also what I would do is I took it to God. I would literally go and I would pray about it. I was like, God, like, I'm frustrated with you. I'm trying to get through this. Help me understand. Give me compassion, because something that I also found that I was beginning to lack was compassion towards my son, because I was getting so overwhelmed, so frustrated. I just wanted sleep, or I just wanted a moment to myself. I just wanted to get something done. And so as I started to realize, okay, I'm less compassionate towards whatever his ailment or his need is. Not that he had like an ailment, but like whatever he was struggling with. Why is he crying? As soon as I recognized I'm lacking compassion, I was like, okay, God, give me compassion for him. It was constantly praying for whatever the struggle I was going through was. And so it was praying, okay, God, give me compassion for him. And so God did give me compassion, and that helped, and asking God for just grace. Now, the next thing that I did, and this took a while for me to get through. When I was going through, especially with sleep, that was where the hardest part is for me, is when I was going through the initial parts of the sleep regression, and like that was brutal. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like if you're a new mom and you haven't hit that 4-month sleep regression, more than likely it's gonna be a bit brutal. So fair warning. I'm not speaking that over your child. It's just the reality is the 4-month sleep regression, if you have it, like if it hits hard, it's just hard. The other thing that I did, I actually caused myself to struggle more than I needed to. What I mean by that is I was so mad and frustrated. I like that he was going through this sleep regression, that he wasn't sleeping through the night anymore, that I wanted to hold on to being exhausted. I wanted to be exhausted, so I had a reason to be mad. And so I didn't want to fully give it to God, because I'm like, if I give it to God, I'm going to feel rested, but I'm not actually going to get any more rest. Like that was literally my thought process. I'm like, I know if I give this to you, Lord, I'm going to give this to you and you're just going to give me grace to get through it, not actually change the situation. And so I wrestled with God on that one. And then eventually I was like, I am being an absolute idiot. I am being so dumb. Like, God could literally give me the grace to get through this, have peace, have energy. And I'm holding on to this just to be angry, to be mad. As soon as I let that go, I told God, I was like, all right, God, I'm just done. Like, I'm done holding on to this. I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to be frustrated anymore. I want to have energy. I want to have compassion. I want to have that peace, that grace to do this. As soon as I did that, getting up in the middle of the night became so much easier. And don't get me wrong, like there are nights that are still hard, that I still get frustrated, and those are moments where I have to remind myself to pray again. Remind myself why he's waking up. He's waking up because he needs something. He's not waking up to annoy me, to frustrate me. He's waking up because he needs me. And I remind myself of that. Even when he wakes up early from a nap, or if it's in the middle of a nap, like literally as I was getting ready for this video, he woke up screaming for no reason. I had to bounce him for like 5 minutes to get him back to sleep. It happened. Like, I don't know why. He was totally fine. Like, I bounced him. He's passed out now. He's been sleeping for another 15 minutes now. And it makes no sense. Like, I'm like, okay, well, why? But I don't know. And so I had to be willing to let go of my own, like, right to be angry or frustrated. And not that I don't have a right. Like, I could sit here and be mad about it, but, like, what good does that do? Like, it doesn't do me any good. Like, I'm sitting here being angry towards God, when God is more than happy to just be like, yeah, I'll give you the grace to get through it. Like, I'll make you have peace. I'll let you have joy. Like, even though you'll be getting up in the night, you won't be mad about it. So, like, why do you want to hold on to this? And I'm learning, like, I already knew that concept of, like, when you pray to God about a situation, sometimes he doesn't change the situation, but he either changes you or gives you the grace to get through the situation. And so he gives me that, you know, and he's done that before. I know that concept, but in this situation, I wasn't applying it in motherhood. And once I started applying that and realizing I was living contradictory to how I know God wants me to live in that area, in that way, it all shifted. Like, I could go through the night and not get so angry. I would get so frustrated, and then I finally give it to God. And when I gave it to God, it's like, okay, now I have peace. I just put myself through all of that for no reason. I could have had peace this whole time, but I was so stuck on wanting sleep because I need it. And I do need sleep, don't get me wrong, but like, I was so stuck on like, I have to have this to have peace to get through this. When in reality, I didn't. Like, I wasn't willing to surrender that and surrender what I thought I needed to God, and so that he could give me what I needed. This final tip is just prepare for the worst, be grateful for the best. Not prepare for the worst, expect the best. But when there is a positive that happens, just be grateful for it. Don't expect it to keep happening. Babies change a lot. Don't expect anything from them. Just be grateful for the positives that you have. If your baby sleeps a solid nap, just be grateful. Don't expect it to happen again. Because if you start to expect, you become entitled towards whatever it is. Like, you should not be entitled to your child sleeping a certain way, because your child can't help that. Your child doesn't decide that. You don't decide that. Honestly, like, you can try and sleep train and it might work, or you might traumatize your kid, or you might struggle more, or it just might not work, you know? And so the reason I'm sharing this is, when you have that mentality, when you go into it with, I'm not expecting anything to be different, I'm hoping that it will be nice and that it will be better, not expecting it, hoping for it, will be grateful for it, then you don't have this constant feeling of defeat and disappointment. Because I walked in disappointment for probably a month or two. Maybe not quite 2 months, but like a month, I would say, of just disappointment. Every single night he didn't sleep well, I was disappointed. And eventually I was like, when I finally gave that to God, like I mentioned a second ago, I was able to finally just be like, okay, I'm not expecting him to sleep well. I'm praying that he does, and I'm hoping that he does. But the reality is he hasn't. But I'm going to be grateful for the longer stretches of sleep. I'm going to be grateful for whatever I can. When you don't walk with an entitled attitude towards anything, when you walk with just gratefulness, grateful for what you can be grateful for, it doesn't mean you can't get frustrated. It doesn't mean you can't go to God and say, I'm frustrated, or you can't go to your friends and say, this is really hard. It doesn't mean you can't do that. But don't hold on to it nonstop, because if you hold on to it, it will crush you. You will walk such a harder walk. Like, I was actively choosing to be angry. And I had to choose, like, I had to realize, for one, that I was hurting myself. I was hurting myself. I was hurting, like, my child in that arena. Like, I was hurting, like, the relationship I had with him because I was so frustrated. And so I had to let go of it and choose to not be mad anymore, not to hold on to frustrations and allow those things to rule my emotions and how I was feeling. But let me tell you one thing. None of it, not one single thing, is worth it. Because at the end of the day, you being frustrated not only hurts the people around you because you're going to be constantly, like, unhappy, you're going to be constantly overwhelmed, but on top of that, you're hurting yourself. You're choosing to have a poor emotional health in that arena. Now, there are things you cannot control as your hormones shift, don't get me wrong, but I believe that God's grace will also cover that. You don't have to walk in anger. You don't have to walk in constant frustration towards God, towards your child, but be very careful in the postpartum period because it is very, very, very easy to do that and to become very frustrated with your little ones or with the Lord because it is a very tough season. You know, there's still aspects and dynamics. Yeah? There's still aspects and dynamics that I'm learning to navigate. And I've had this baby for over 6 months. And I'm still learning to navigate certain dynamics with my husband and with family, with just myself, with schedules, with different things. It's a constant learning thing. And so the last thing that I would say is just give yourself grace. And when I say that, what I mean by that is not just as like, I feel like people say that a lot and they don't necessarily give a practical way to do that. What I mean is don't sit there and beat yourself up and focus on the negatives that you're unhappy about how you're parenting or how you're taking care of your child. Don't focus on that. I'm gonna take these out before he rips them out. Focus on what you're grateful for. Remind yourself of things that you're proud of yourself for doing, that you're doing well. And don't have false expectations of what motherhood should look like, what your journey with your child should look like. You know, initially I really wanted to follow this specific, very, very specific milk to basically to solids approach. Upon trying to do it, I realized just how difficult it was going to be. And upon realizing how difficult it was going to be, we had to shift things for his health, for his sake, for my sake, and for our whole dynamic. And so I share all of this just to say, give yourself grace and give yourself room to change and to make adjustments to whatever your plan was. And don't be mad about it. Like, you can be sad that it didn't work out, but just be realistic too. Like, if you have to make a shift, that's not a bad thing. You're learning the dynamic that your child needs that you need. And give yourself the grace to do that, because that is one practical way you can give yourself grace, is allowing yourself to make adjustments to what you initially thought your plan would be. And so those are the just practical and spiritual and just tips that I would give you to battling frustration in motherhood. I just really wanted to share a little bit with you guys and talk a little bit about my journey with frustrations and how you can combat those frustrations in motherhood. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. This guy, I think he's about to have a dirty diaper. So I think it's time that we sign off. Say bye-bye, Mama. Say bye-bye, Mama.